Over the last 30, 40 years, the UK has become a much less religious country. The Church of England and the Church of Scotland in particular have very much seen a decline in affiliation, with much of their support base transferring to those of no religion. More generally, we've also become a much more diverse society, with many new forms of Christianity coming to prominence and many other non-Christian religions also growing due to changes brought about, for example, through immigration. In fact, the biggest demographic shift that's happening in the UK today is that swing from the more long-established Christian groups, the Church of England in particular, to no religion. So, for example, over the last 35 years, the British Social Attitudes Survey has shown the Church of England go from about 2/3 to about 1/3 of the population as a whole, while the non-religious have gone from making up about 1/3 to making up a majority. And that's particularly stark if you look at the breakdown by age. So amongst those aged 18 to 24, you find that 71% of young people say they belong to no religion and just 3% say they're Church of England, which points to further demographic changes to come. I think there are three main reasons why we see the demographic shifts that have been going on recently. So first of all, many religious groups nowadays find themselves out of step with accepted ethical norms, against LGBT rights, against same-sex marriage, against a woman's right to choose on abortion, against assisted dying, when the public is overwhelmingly in favour. The second reason is that as science has developed and provided a more and more complete explanation of how we came to be, that has left a religion with a smaller and smaller space to occupy in offering an explanation that we otherwise don't have. And the final reason is that if you look at the long history of this in many other countries, religious groups often had an important role to play in providing community and providing support for people when things go wrong, for example. But as societies have changed and as the welfare state has come about in the UK, that is a role that religious groups are no longer needed to play, because a much more comprehensive, for example, universal healthcare system through the National Health Service has meant that everybody is able to get the care they need through an alternative route. So those three trends together have left a smaller and smaller space for religious groups in people's lives, and meant that being an active part of an organised religious body is no longer important to most people today. Another aspect to this is the question of what is acceptable in society. So in years gone by, just as it wasn't acceptable, for example, to be LGBT, it simply wasn't acceptable to be non-religious. But nowadays, as the non-religious population has grown and grown, that is becoming increasingly acceptable. And so there are many people who in the past might have ticked on a survey, for example, that they're a Christian because of their cultural heritage or some loose affiliation, who nowadays would be much less likely to do that.